Welcome to the Kyle Olson Show. I'm so glad you're here. Joe Biden's inaugural committee does not want supporters to travel to Washington, D.C. in January. The Presidential Inaugural Committee consulted with, quote, medical experts advising President-elect Joe Biden and announced initial protocols to protect public health during the inauguration, an event, by the way, that traditionally takes place outside on the Capitol lawn. Biden's advisors said in a press release that the historic ceremony will include, quote, vigorous health and safety protocols and honors and resembles sacred American traditions while keeping Americans safe and preventing the spread of COVID-19, or the Chinese virus, my words. We all know Beijing Biden would never blame China. There's too much business for Hunter to get there. Joe doesn't want to offend the communists. Biden's speech will focus on the coronavirus, build back better, and bring the country together. That may stand in sharp contrast to the speech he delivered Monday after the Electoral College cast a sufficient number of votes to make him the president-elect. Biden did not just acknowledge victory, he taunted his defeated opponent, President Donald Trump, my colleague at Breitbart News, Joel Pollack, noted. Rather than celebrate the result and reach out to Trump and his supporters, Biden, coughing up phlegm throughout his speech, attempted to rub salt in the wound, continuing to argue the case after he had already won it. Here's some highlights of Joe Biden's speech.
Once again, in America, the rule of law, more Americans voted this year than have ever voted in the history of the United States of votes counted. President Pence received when they won in 2016. Excuse me. Or dispute the results margin 4 years ago. And yet, I thank them. And I'm convinced we can work together for the good of the nation on many subjects. That's the duty owed to the people, to our Constitution, to our history. You know, in this battle for the soul of America, democracy prevailed. We, the people, voted. Faith in our institutions held. The integrity of our elections remains intact. And now it's time to turn the page, as we've done throughout our history, to unite, to heal. As I said in this campaign, I will be president for all Americans. I'll work just as hard for those of you who didn't vote for me as I will for those who did. There's urgent work in front of us. Getting this pandemic under control and getting the nation vaccinated against this virus.
A reporter preemptively blamed Biden's apparent acid reflux, which makes him clear his throat. Biden said later he's battling, quote, a little bit of a cold. The ceremony footprint will be extremely limited, and the parade that follows will be reimagined, the Presidential Inaugural Committee said without giving further details. The PIC is urging the public to refrain from any travel and participate in the inaugural activities from home, the committee said. This is like someone who says they don't really want to have a birthday party because when in reality they know no one would want to go anyway. It also recommended supporters should, quote, limit gatherings during the inauguration, a theme that was implemented during the campaign, which saw Biden play to tiny, well-spaced crowds of backers. Our goal is to create an inauguration that keeps people safe, honors the grand traditions of the presidency, and showcases the Biden-Harris administration's renewed American vision for an inclusive, equitable, and unified citizenry, Presidential Inaugural Committee CEO Tony Allen said. Can Joe Biden really unify our citizenry? If you listen to his speech after the Electoral College vote, there was nothing to rally around there, nothing to unify us. The man's angry. He's bitter. He's not optimistic. He's not a visionary. Look at his cabinet. It's Obama 2.0. Wanting to unify the country makes a good soundbite that the mainstream media will just lap up, but it's not reality. Joe Biden's campaign manager, Jennifer O'Malley Dillon, called Republicans a bunch of effers this week. Except she didn't say effers, of course. She said the real word. And then Hillary Clinton even jumped in, as if 2020 can't end fast enough. People who stood by Donald Trump for the last 4 years are now claiming to be offended that a Democratic campaign manager used a curse word? I don't think so, the failed 2016 Democrat candidate wrote on Twitter. On Thursday, Dillon walked back her claim, though she offered no apology. I used some words that I probably should have chosen better, she said. Organizers have hired, quote, a team of seasoned production experts to create the program. Their experience includes, quote, envisioning and producing some of the nation's most watched events, including Democratic national conventions, presidential inaugurations, Super Bowl halftime shows, Tony Awards, and more. Oh, that will just be wonderful. One of those production experts is Stephanie Cutter. She cheered on Hillary in her efforts fracas. These people aren't about unity. They don't just hate Donald Trump. They hate Trump supporters, all 73 million of us. The pandemic is continuing to have a significant public health impact across the nation. PIC Chief Medical Advisor Dr. David Kessler said in the release, Americans everywhere must do their part to slow the spread of the virus. Wear masks, stay home, and limit gatherings. We are asking Americans to participate in inaugural events from home to protect themselves, their families, friends, and communities, he said. Well, that's nice. And Joe Biden is not just irritated with Trump supporters. Last week, he did a virtual meeting with a number of black leaders, not the rabid activists, but some establishment types like Al Sharpton. Joe Biden's diaper was in a bunch that day.
Well, I don't know if that counts. I'm not so sure. Well, if it doesn't count for y'all, well, the hell with y'all. But because it's real. It's real. For 25 years as a United States Senator. Before, Sherilyn, you were even involved. I got it. I started off, I'm much older than you. That's why I got involved in politics. If in case you haven't looked, we have the largest voting right. Kristen, my operation, 1,000 lawyers, bigger than you or anybody else out there on voting rights.
Not include, unless something happened since we've been talking, paid family and medical leave.
Yes, it does. No, it does include. It does include paid family medical leave.
Guaranteed. It doesn't have enough.
Well, it has more than, I don't think you've read it. It has significant.
Okay. Yeah, I've been reading it, and I said something may have happened since, but it was 1.8 million was going to take for the.
Dude's mad, pointing his finger at the screen, lecturing people who helped elect him. There was more.
A lot of people in our community are getting a little anxious because they are not seeing enough of the progress they thought they would have seen at this point. Let's not disappoint them, and let's not get to a place where voters in Georgia begin to second guess.
Okay, let me respond. I've got to go. Let me respond. There's a lot to respond to here. Let's get something straight. You shouldn't be disappointed. What I've done so far is more than anybody else has done this far. Okay? Number one. Number two, I mean what I say when I say it. I mean what I say when I say it. I'm the only person who's ever run on 3 platforms that I was told could not possibly win the election, and I never ceased from it. One was on restoring the soul of this country because of what I saw happen in Charlottesville. That was it. No one else was talking about it. The words of presidents matter. Nobody else, no progressive, was talking about it. I did.
Yeah, come on. He talked about it. Isn't talking good enough for you people? In other parts of the meeting, he said why he couldn't use executive order to ban assault weapons, whatever assault weapons really means, and he downplayed expectations for bold plans. He said he would have to get things through a Republican Senate. Inspire Barack Obama, Joe Biden is not. Seat warmer for Kamala Harris, Joe Biden is. I still have hope for the legal pathways for President Trump. I don't have faith Chief Justice John Roberts will interpret the law. I think he makes rulings through a political lens, which would be the downfall of our nation of laws. And for the people demanding unity and somehow Joe Biden will do that, I won't forget how Joe Biden for months lied about what President Trump really said about Charlottesville. And I won't forget how vicious and nasty and evil Democrats were. But you know what? I think we should give Joe Biden every ounce of respect that Nancy Pelosi, Adam Schiff, Maxine Waters, Chuck Schumer, and all the rest of them gave President Trump. That's fair, isn't it? This is the Kyle Olson Show. I hope you'll stay with me. Coming up later, Antonio Sabato Jr. will be talking about a new conservative film studio. You don't want to miss it. We'll be right back.